Today, we're going to be reacting to Trevor Noah, one of the funniest South African comedians out there, the former host of The Daily Show. This video is titled Good Credit Buy Anything, Trevor Noah, African American. Let's get right into it.
It's crazy. I'm loving it. Living the American life, trying to do it. It's crazy. So I had to learn how to drive out here, which was fun. To get a car, obviously, which I just almost couldn't get. You have to fill out forms, and then they want your credits. And in America, credits is very important. I don't understand the concept. I'm in the car dealership, and there's this Asian gentleman helping me. We're going through the forms, and he says, "So how long have you lived in America for?" I said, I haven't lived here for long. He said, "Oh, this not good for you. This not good for you." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "No, you cannot lease car in America unless you've been here a long time, because then you don't have credit, okay? You don't." I said, "Well, I've got the money to pay for it." He said, "Yeah, that's not the point, okay? That's not the point."
And this is crazy to me because, again, I've gone through this. Before coming to this country, most immigrants are not aware of the credit system, or even if they've heard of it remotely, they don't really understand it. I know I did not understand it. And, I just could not fathom how I would have, I wouldn't need cash to buy something. I would just need credit. And the more money you owe, over your lifetime, I guess the more trustworthy you are to the banks. Like, we encouraging a system of debt. People keep owing, and that kind of shocked me a little bit. And also, I mean, everybody's driving a car for some reason.
America, okay? In this country, we want credit, okay? Our country focus on credit. If you got good credit, you can buy anything. We don't care about money. We want credit. Right. I said, well, credit is the assumption that you can pay back the money. He's like, no, that don't count here, okay? In our country, you have good credit, you can buy anything, okay? You got good credit. He's like, our country. And I was like, look, I hate to be rude, but when you say our country, do you mean our because you live here now, or our because the Chinese own it?
Both. Both, because the Chinese do own it. But it's crazy that whenever somebody says something to you, and they're gonna start with, "Oh, I hate to be rude. I mean no disrespect," or with all due respect, there's no respect coming. But yeah, let's.
And he was like, it's a bit of both, okay? Yeah, but no credit for you, no car. Okay, goodbye. I had to just buy myself a car. It's a horrible thing. Drive around. That's the worst thing. Driving in America. Wow. On the other side of the road, you feel like a rebel, until you see the other cars coming, and then it's not so much fun. You know how many times I did that, just going to the wrong side? And don't trust movies. It's not easy to do that whole thing. No, people don't just.
So I did not experience this because where I'm from, we do drive on the right side of the road. I do believe that it's called the right side for a reason. Right is synonymous with correct side. So I think everybody else that drives on the left side of the road is weird because it's called the right side for a reason.
Drive, and no, they stop. They just look at you and go, "What are you doing?" In the movies, you drive past. "What are you doing?" Aren't you supposed to know? They don't drive. They just wait for you to turn around, and the street is so small. You're doing one of those turns, just watching them in your shame, just like it's horrible. I had to practice for months. It was the worst. I remember I drove into a street once. I thought I'd learned. It had been months. I'd been doing it well. And then I turned into the wrong way. And I saw this little old Asian lady driving towards me. And I was like, no! And there was nobody else. So I swerved the car around. I was like,
how much do you want to bet the lady was the one driving in the wrong? And I mean no disrespect. With all due respect, maybe the lady was driving in the wrong direction. Or you could just identify as driving in the right direction.
I was like, yeah, hero. And I drove, and there were 50 cars coming this way. And I was like, you bitch. And I told my friend the story. I told him this. I was like, oh, this is what happened. And he was like, oh, that's so funny, man. That's so funny. And he's like, who was driving the car? I said, a little old Asian lady. And he's like, oh, yeah, you can't say that, man. You can't. You can't say that. I said, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, you can't say she's Asian. I said,
Why not though? Like she was Asian. Like that's crazy. That's one of the things where coming to this country, we it's the land of the free. What we think about freedom of speech. Like where I'm from, there's no freedom of speech. Oh, let me put it this way: there's freedom of speech. There is freedom of speech, but there's no freedom after speech. In fact, there's no guarantee of freedom after speech. So you could go on TV and say something about the president. There's no guarantee that you will ever be seen again. Yeah? But so in America, we know we when we come here, we're expecting to be in the land of the free. And one of the first things that was said to me, I had not even got off the plane, and I made a remark to the person I was sitting next to, and they were like, "Oh, you can't say that, honey. You can't say that." I'm like, "What do you mean I can't say? Who are you to tell me what I can and cannot say? That's crazy, right? Especially when it's true. Like, why are we not allowed to say things that are correct and true?"
why not? He's like, yeah, because that's racist. I said, what? That she's Asian? He's like, nah. If she's a bad driver and you say she's Asian, that's racist. I said, so let me get this straight. Asians are not allowed to be called bad drivers. Is this not racism in itself? Everyone else is allowed the world of bad drivers. But if I'm driving on the freeway behind an Asian person and they swerving around, and I go, this bad driver, you drive like crap. And I pull up next to them, I'm like, oh, no, sorry. You're not a bad driver. You're just Asian. I'm sorry.
Oh. See, that's even worse. The crazy thing is the more you try to police language and make everything seem racist, everything becomes even more racist because every time you tell somebody, oh, you can't say this and that, if that person was saying it, innocently, now all of us, everybody around there knows you think about it differently. Stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. There's a reason that people say, oh, black people like chicken. It's not because every black person likes chicken. We know that's not true. I know a couple of people that don't. I'm not included. I do love me some chicken. But there's some black people that do not like chicken. But the stereotype comes around a general majority in a certain, specific area. So when they talk about Asians not being able to drive, I think that stereotype came from the Asians that were living in America, mostly elderly Asians that moved here in their late, I guess in their later stages of life and had to learn how to drive because back home, wherever they were, they did not need because to learn how to drive because public transportation was good. In America, public transportation is terrible. It sucks. So everybody has to drive. And so when you come over here, after retirement and you want, oh, I'm going to retire in the United States. And then you get over here, you have to learn how to drive. And, you know, so I would say old people are terrible drivers. Is that also offensive? Who knows?
Racism in itself is madness. So now what I had to do was get around using the GPS, Decided to get one of those. First, I tried to be a cheapskate. I thought, oh, get a phone with a GPS. That was a horrible mistake. Bought myself one of those iPhones with Siri. Oh, your assistant, she talks to you. She listens to you. If you're American, she doesn't understand one word I say. I don't understand why. I speak English, and they're talking to her. Doom, doom. She's like, what do you need? I'm like, Siri, please call Peter. You want pizza? No, cancel. Siri, I need pizza. You want pizza? No, Siri, I want pizza, not pizza. You want pizza? No, Siri, what's going on here? You want to, Siri, Peter, Siri. You're not making sense. Siri, are you having an attitude? You tell me. I don't know what the hell is going on here. Siri, just listen to me. I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Siri, just, bitch. Dialing mom. What the hell?
You cannot say that. And the funny thing is, like, well, it's the sad thing, really, is I have to go through this, and a lot of people have to go through this. Even people that are born in America, people that have certain accents in the South or wherever, have to go through this with, the general majority of people that are, American sounding. There's a general proper, like, corporate way of speaking, that if you don't speak like that, people that grew up around that kind of accents or intonations would have a hard time understanding you. Meanwhile, you can understand them just fine. So a lot of times I have to change the way I say certain words, how I pronounce certain words. Like my T's, I have to eliminate my T's from certain words, which I would otherwise say when I'm speaking to people back home. For example, like what he said, pizza. It's not like the Siri would think it's you're saying pizza, but you're saying pita. Pita, as we'll say it in Cameroon, pita, but it's pita, pizza. There's a T in there, but now it becomes Peter. So if I don't say Peter, most of my coworkers or friends will not understand what I'm trying to say. They will be like, "Oh, you want pizza?" I'm like, "No, I do not want pizza." Maybe
This is
I always want
horrible.
pizza. It's a lie.
I had to buckle down and buy myself a real GPS to get me around, which has been working like a charm. If you don't have a GPS, you get yourself one. It's the best thing you'll ever do. Just don't make the mistake I made and buy it from Craigslist.
Why?
I bought one off
Craigslist
Craigslist,
is
and
good.
the guy who sold it to me didn't tell me that it was a Spanish language GPS, which was not so good. I didn't understand anything she says. Look, I still get around because the arrows are in English, thank God. But otherwise, it was just horrible. And I hated
What?
it the first few days, and then I fell in love with her. She's just, I don't understand why more Americans don't speak Spanish. It's such a sexy language. And
It
sitting there and
is.
like all the men in here, you want to feel like a man, you get yourself a Spanish GPS. Oh no, you don't understand. Traffic never sounded sexier. It's just like I just punch in random destinations and she guides me around. She's like, dum dum. Sí que toco de que para conocí. En 200 metros sería la de la cha. And I'm just like, oh shucks.
This guy is really good at his accents. Like he doesn't only learn the language. I don't even know if he's actually speaking Spanish. I don't think he was, but I think he was just speaking gibberish in the accent. But I don't know. I don't speak Spanish. But he's very good at accents. I can tell you, like he's really good at accents. I wish I could learn an accent. The only accent I tried to learn once was the Nelson Mandela accent, and I failed horribly at it. The South Africa is the deadly times, and apartheid cannot continue. And I feel terrible. I could not learn. Uh, yeah,
Tom.
I'm not talented.
You say that all the time. He's just sexy, Just guides me around. It's beautiful. I love that. I'm going to learn Spanish because of that. Spanish has gone up my list. I had a few languages in Spanish. Spanish was like sixth language. I spoke 4 languages in South Africa, and then the fifth language is going to be Japanese.
He speaks 4 languages from South Africa. That's not even like including how many he speaks now, because this video is a long time ago. That's crazy. I speak. I'm not gonna go into how many languages I speak. I'm just. I'm not talented. I'll tell you that. I cannot learn languages the way people like these learn languages. I don't know. God gave us different brains for a reason. But this guy,
And then Spanish was, but now Spanish has gone up. Japanese, I've had to pause
also he does
because of
speak
the earthquake.
Spanish.
There's not
Okay.
that many of them traveling now, so it's
Oh,
sad. There's no one now. Just like walk around the streets,
wait, I
just
missed that. What did he say
But
about the
Spanish has gone up.
Japanese people?
Japanese, I've had to pause because of the earthquake. There's not that many of them traveling now, so it's
Wow.
sad. There's no one now. Just like walk around the streets, just. But Spanish has gone up because I was getting good at Japanese. Don't get me wrong, I was getting really good. I could say, and it's a great language. It's powerful because you speak Japanese from your chest. It makes you feel strong. Hey there.
Arigato.
Yeah, very strong. Whereas English you speak from the head and the chest. Do you know what I mean? You speak it head and chest.
It depends on who is speaking the English. I think Nigerians, for example, or Cameroonians, or West Africans, and Central Africans, they speak English. They're speaking English from everywhere. Who side you go? Wait till you don't chop. Everything. It's all, you know, all inclusive.
You wouldn't know this, You wouldn't know this if you listen to many coastal girls in America. Like I've been in places like California where women insist on speaking English from their nose, which is not the correct thing.
I
Yeah, like, oh my
absolutely
God, are
hate
you
that.
guys gonna like do this? And I was like there with Tiffany and we were talking, and I was there. That's not
Hate
the right way. You're not using your lungs. I know this because when I choked her, she sounded exactly the same.
Ooh.
She's was then she's
Ooh.
like, oh my God, you're like
A
totally
man is
choking me
freaking.
right now, and I can't breathe, and this is so not on. I am so gonna tweet about this. This is like the worst thing ever. Oh, I am so dying. OMG. This is, it's horrible. Whereas Japanese is
That man is
strong. Japanese, you
freaking.
speak from the chest, A lot of the Americans are learning Chinese, I've seen. Chinese. I see people say, you gotta learn Chinese. They're taking over. Chinese. Ni hao, ma. Shishing Chinese. It's too late. It's too late to learn Chinese. It's over. No, it's
No,
true.
it's
It's
not.
true because it's also one of the hardest
Wo ai
languages in the
ni.
world. I mean, how do you learn Chinese
Wo
now?
shang
They've got
chi.
over 10,000 characters in the alphabet. You know this? 10,000 characters. We've got 26 in English.
I know a few phrases in Chinese. Wo ai ni. Wo shang chi. I think that means wo ai ni means what? I love you. And then wo shang chi means something else. I forgot. And then there's see, I'm terrible at languages. Man.
And there's still people going, what comes after Q? 26. This is, 10,000 they've got. That's super smart. Although they must have the worst Sesame Street in the world. It must suck being a Muppet in that country. I can just see them on a Monday morning singing to the kids. 5 years later.
Well, so this is funny, but it's not accurate because the Mandarin doesn't have letters; they have characters which represent almost like full phrases. So it's not like English where one letter and it represents just the letter, and the letters are used together to form words or sounds. But in Mandarin or even in some other um, Asian languages, those characters represent full words, phrases, sometimes sentences. So
It's just horrible. Horrible. Hey there. Thanks for watching. Now, all I need you to do is click on that.
all right, well, thank you guys for watching. This is actually my first reaction video. I was expecting to laugh a lot. I didn't. But then that's probably because my sense of humor died a long time ago. Well, it didn't die. It takes a lot to really make me laugh out. I laugh inside of my head, but it takes a lot to make me laugh out. I did have a few chuckles, but I learned more than I laughed, so that is good. But overall, great video. Hope to see you in the next one, and peace out.